Hello, I'm Cheryl Meyer, and I'm otherwise known as CherylMHealthMuse. And what my goal is to inspire you to lead a healthier life. So when I proposed my podcast, I proposed that we present it in two different segments. The first one is It Feels Good to Feel Good, Future-Proof Your Health, where I get to share everything I have learned to return my health back to relative wellness and to live a pain-free life in spite of the fact that I have autoimmune disease. But the second part of my podcast is this episode, and that's Tell Me Your Story, the Health Muse is in. My concept with this is it's all fine and well that you hear me tell my story, but I get a lot of, it's all fine and well that it worked for you, but it's not going to work for me. And I wanted you to hear that there are lots of people out there that have made changes in their lifestyle that have supported their health and brought them back to relative wellness. We all have a couple things in common. We all owned our own health. Whatever the doctor was suggesting we did was going on a parallel path to us making these lifestyle changes where we did things that cleaned up our toxic load. We all pay attention to our body. You'll hear jazz in the background because I want you to listen to the rhythm of your health, and I want you to pay attention to what your body is telling you. My body had been trying to tell me that I was going to topple over into toxic load for some time. I just wasn't listening. So if you clean up your lifestyle and if you listen to your body, you have a very good chance not of being deprived in any way, but returning to feeling darn good. And that's what these podcasts are really all about. So thank you for joining me. This is going to be a Tell Me Your Story, the Health Muse is in episode, and I hope you enjoy it. And I hope that we all inspire you to lead a healthier, happier life. Thank you. Hello, welcome to another edition of Tell Me Your Story, the Health Muse is here. And today I'm introducing someone that I am proud to call a friend who has a fascinating story that you're going to love hearing from a variety of points of views. Janette walks with angels. She has always had her angels with her, and I want her to tell you that part of her story. And it becomes incredibly important because Janette got pancreatic cancer, and her faith and her walking with angels is one of the reasons that Janette is cancer-free today. So I am so excited for Janette to be able to share her story with you today on this broadcast. So thank you, Janette, so much for joining me.
Thank you, Cheryl. It's a pleasure to be here.
We actually recorded this last week, and for some reason, it disappeared from the archives of Zoom. So this is our second time for Janette to share her story. So let me tell you just quickly how I met Janette. We're both members of the Wellness Universe, and I scheduled to have an angel reading with Janette. And in the meantime, she signed up to take my Food Quality Matters class. And in the middle of the Food Quality Matters class, all of a sudden she didn't attend. And her sister contacted me to let me know that Janette had pancreatic cancer. So my little group became a prayer group for Janette. And here we are 1 year or 2 years later. Is it 1 year?
It's 1.5 since
One and
the
a
start.
half years later. And Janette no longer has pancreatic cancer. And I know that pancreatic cancer is one of those cancers that everybody is scared to death that they can't get past. So that's why I think it's so important that you hear this whole story. But I want Janette to start with, when did she first learn that she was walking with angels and that they were with her all the time and they talked to her and she could utilize that to help others making decisions in their own lives as well as in hers? So why don't we start there?
Sure. Thank you, Cheryl. So when I was young, I was about 4 years old, and I remember being in bed and looking down on the floor and just seeing this little village of little people, like little fairies, and they were having a little chuck wagon there. They were just like camping out on my bedroom floor, and my brother was sleeping in the bed across from me. And then I remember telling my parents, and I was told, oh no, that's just your imagination. That's not real. You're just imagining things. And then, so I thought, okay, um, I was just imagining it, and didn't really think that much more about it until about um, 50 years later. My brother was fighting a brain tumor. And this was back in 2012 when Facebook was just words. There weren't the memes that there are today. And so I found a teacher, um, and her words were very healing to me. And she worked with the angels. And I grew up in the church and I always had a lot of faith, but I didn't know that I could have a relationship with the angels. I thought you would have to be someone like Mother Teresa, Joan of Arc, Jesus Christ, or somebody like super holy and not just a regular old person like me. Um, so um, I was so comforted and so soothed by her words during this time. And they were words from the angels, from her heart. She would channel these beautiful messages of hope. Even in the darkest of times, there's always hope. And then there's always memories, and always there's something good to come out of the situation. And so, um, about a year following my brother's death, I scheduled my first angel reading with her, and I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know if I was going to lose my faith, if I was going to start seeing dead people. I just didn't really know what to expect. And it was such a love fest and so beautiful that within 6 months after that, I was investigating how I too could get certified and be an angel card reader. So um, it was just, and then I felt like my brother was one of my biggest advocates
I'm sure he
during that
was.
time.
And having
Yes.
had an angel reading from you, I can tell you it is a marvelous, peaceful experience that is filled with love and hope. So, what
Oh,
a
thank you.
lovely thing it is that you do. And we all need more love and hope, especially now. I think we always
Absolutely.
have, but especially now. We need all
Absolutely.
the love and hope that all of our angels have to give us. And it's so wonderful that they can speak through you. And so, one of the things I want to tell everyone is you can contact Janette and you can have an angel reading of your own. And it is so soothing to do that. I strongly recommend that you do it. I want to go back to one thing that you said. I
Sure.
have been told, I did not have children, but I have been told by others that have had children that occasionally when they're little, they'll blurb out things about a previous life or blurb out things about having seen a relative that's not on this plane anymore. And from conversations with friends, it's always been determined that we're born with the ability to see beyond the veil. But because as adults, we must find that somewhat frightening, which it shouldn't be, we turn it off in children by telling them that that's not what they're seeing.
Right. Right. Cheryl, it's just so interesting that you should mention that. When you were talking about it, I get goosebumps, and I call them angel bumps. I'm clairsentient, so I can feel the angel's presence. And remembering back to when my son was little, and um, he would reference that when he was up in heaven, he saw Bo, which was our dog growing up, and that they romped together. And he doesn't remember it, but I certainly remember him talking about that. And even Wayne Dyer had written about it in one of his later books about um, having these conversations, because these children are just fresh from divine love. And like, you could ask a small child where they came from, and they will point, this is where I came from. And what is God like? God is love. And it's quite universal. So,
Isn't that lovely? Yeah, no, I know. And
yes,
it's such a shame that we turn that off. And our
right,
children, instead, we don't flourish it in them
right,
so that they
right,
grow older knowing that that's there. And
right,
instead, we turn that experience off.
right, right.
So, yeah, I couldn't resist but to comment on that because
Yeah, I'm glad you did.
I've known several children who see beyond that.
Yes.
And I used to see people looking in my upstairs window when I was little,
Oh,
and I
okay.
remember that well. So, but that was way before I knew about astral flying or any of that stuff.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So it's
It
just all very fascinating to
it
me.
is. It is.
And I do believe that they're there and they exist, and I do believe that you're a vessel to communicate for them. So it's quite
Yes.
marvelous.
And it's not just me. Anyone can do this. All you have to do is really open your heart to do it. I never thought I had a career in finance and human resources. And I never thought in retirement I would be working with the angels. But they did point me in this direction, and they told me, you will have a business, you will call it Angel Angles. It's because the two words are interchanged quite often, misspelled, and that you will be putting a heavenly slant in people's life, hence the angle part. And I'm like, okay. So we all get messages in different ways. So, like, people can feel things, people can hear things, you could know things. There's different ways that angels communicate with us and send us signs. Sometimes it's numbers, sometimes it's feathers, sometimes it's symbols like hearts, or the cloud could be in a shape that reminds you of someone or something dear, a flower or a bird or a dragonfly or a butterfly. All of those can be signs of love from above.
I actually have a friend whose dog has been ill, and she keeps taking pictures and posting them of feathers. She's
Mm,
finding feathers in places where there would be no feathers, on
right.
her doorknob to her bedroom. They're all over the place. And she keeps going, wow, there's another feather. I do believe the angels are here with Blackie and I because this dog means the world to her. And losing a pet is always difficult. So I
It
think she's
is.
getting time to get used to the idea because the dog
Yes.
is old. So it is
Yeah.
going to pass at some point.
Yes. Yes. And it is so hard to lose our fur babies, as you know.
Terrible,
So,
terrible.
mhm.
So let's turn to your health
Okay.
because it was so devastating when we all found out that you had pancreatic cancer. I want you to start at the beginning of your health story because you are a real victorious story that you are well today. And that's what I want people to hear because if
Yes.
you have hope, you do not have to give up. There are things you can do, and faith means everything. So
Yes.
you take it
Yes.
away.
So, I always thought that I was very healthy. I was walking 10,000 steps a day, and I felt like I was eating well, and my favorite drink was water. And I thought I was doing all the right things. And then I became where I just didn't have any energy. I went from walking 10,000 steps a day to being unable to get off the couch some days. And I thought, oh, I just am tired. I've done too much. My parents just had their 60th wedding anniversary at the time. And so, people were in and out of the house and visiting, and we were having this celebration. And then my mom urged me to go to the doctor. And I'm like, well, what am I going to say? I don't feel well. Wah. Um, and then I started getting signs that, okay, I really needed to pay attention to. So if you have any dark colored urine, like red or rust colored urine, or if your stools are clay and different, those are definitely signs that something is amiss. And it doesn't have to be a full-blown cancer scare, but it could be something. You could have a problem with your bile duct or whatever. You could have a stone, gallstone. So I was sent to have some tests, and I was having a lot of trouble keeping food down. Um, and I have kind of had that problem for a lot of years. I was very prone to motion sickness, so it wasn't really unusual for me to vomit quite a lot, or regularly, but this was like really a lot, and I couldn't keep food down. I didn't want to eat. I just didn't feel good. I felt icky. And then I went to a specialist, and that specialist did a test on me, an endoscopy on me after I'd had a couple others. And after the test, he came into this small room and he held my hand and he told me, "You have pancreatic cancer." And I was just so shocked. I didn't expect it. I thought, I'm 58 years old and healthy. How could I have this diagnosis? And it was just shocking, and hearing those words. And the only thing I knew about pancreatic cancer was not good. And so we left the hospital, was an outpatient in the hospital
Is that
test.
your puppy in the background?
Yes, I'm sorry, I have
It's
my
okay. I just
headphones
wanted
on.
to
Yes,
identify what the noise
yes,
was. He
yes,
is
I'm
so
sorry.
cute. We'll have to
He,
show you all a picture of him before
yes,
we're done.
yes, yes, he has been quiet until just now, so he wants to put his 2 cents worth. Sometimes I tease that he's my toddler. When I get on the phone or something, he hears me talk. He is not having it, but hopefully it's not too distracting.
No, I just wanted everyone to know what it
Right,
was that
right,
was moaning in the background.
right.
Oh, I
So,
love that you're drinking water with fruit
oh,
in it.
isn't
Yay!
that beautiful?
It's fantastic. If anybody
Yeah,
still has a problem with Coke or Diet Coke, this is what you drink instead. You drink
this is a
filtered
beautiful thing.
water that's loaded with other wonderful goodies like
Yes,
cucumber and fruit.
yeah,
It's delicious and it's good for your body. So,
yeah. And you just feel so good drinking it. It's like spa water at home, and it's just so beautiful. So my parents were at the hospital with me, as was my husband. And uh, I told my husband, he came in the room. I told him, he went out and got the car. We were going to leave. And then I asked the nurse, I'm like, what about my parents? Do they know? And she said, oh, I'll go get them. So my parents are in their 80s. They came into the room and I told them, and they were just devastated. You know, we were all in shock, like, what does it mean? And then on the drive home, I just was thinking, gosh, am I ever going to see our son again? Am I going to live to my next birthday? You know, all of these questions. And then my doctor had called later that night, and told me, don't go down the rabbit hole. There are options. There's a surgery called the Whipple procedure that has been giving people great success. And there was no mention of chemo or anything, but at that point, then I was following the Western medicine protocol of chemo, and then the hope was that I would be able to have the surgery, that my tumor would shrink enough that I could have the surgery. So they were anticipating doing 12 rounds of chemo, And at 8, I was given the green light that I was the candidate for surgery. And so that was really scary for me. I wanted the surgery, but I didn't want the surgery. I changed the name from surgery to Operation Hope because this was my hope to live a long and healthy life. And so that made me feel so much better, just tweaking the name a little bit. And
The
so,
mindset change.
yes. And so then that was awesome. My surgeon was amazing. I had excellent results. I thought I'd be in the hospital for a week, and I was in for 2 weeks because my tummy had a little trouble getting back to normal. Um, and I wasn't able to eat for about a month after surgery. I was on the liquid food. Um, and then the funny thing was the day of my surgery, my husband wasn't feeling good. And we just thought that was because we had to get up at 3 a.m. to leave the house to get to San Francisco by 5. And he came down with shingles.
Which is directly related to stress. So I'm
Yes,
not surprised. Having just
yes,
gone through it, I know what he was going through.
yes. So he had a very severe case and he couldn't come to the hospital to see me. And he had to figure it out on his own. So after the 2 weeks, I went home with my parents and I stayed with them for 3 weeks. And then we would talk periodically, and I just wished that I could be there to help him, but I couldn't. And my parents, my mom had had shingles twice already, so we didn't want him to be near and all of that. So we look back on it now and laugh at the timing, but at the time it was like, how could this be? Um, so
But what I want to stop for 1 minute. One of the huge things that you had going in your favor was a loving family and a loving community, which is
yes,
so important to health. And you were
yes,
blessed with both.
yes,
So I
I
know it was
totally,
rough for your husband, but
yes,
he
yeah,
probably was better off on his own because the pain he had, he could sleep and not worry about you and
right.
lower his stress so that he could start to recover.
Right. So that is so true because we are all so connected. Um, when people would find out, um, they would reach out and see how can we support you? What do you need? I'm praying for you. I had a woman not too long ago that said she prayed for me every day, 5 times a day. And I'm like, oh, I just am so grateful for all of that love and support. And Cheryl, with your prayer piggy,
And we had
Cheryl,
a whole group praying for you.
yes, Cheryl, it, it designed a piece of jewelry, a little rose gold piggy with wings, and gave that to me and my sister and several of the other women in our group that were praying for my recovery, and I'm so grateful for that.
Yeah, I designed him for a different girlfriend who had brain cancer.
Mm,
And she kept writing to us saying, I hate to be a prayer piggy, but could I ask you one more time to all join together in prayer at such and such a time when she was having such and such a procedure? And eventually I had shipped out over 100 of those to Gail's friends that had all bought them and were carrying them in their pocket as a
mhm.
talisman that every time they felt it, they knew to send a little prayer for Gail.
Yes.
And when she passed away, she had 8 grandchildren. They all lined up to hug me to thank me for the prayer piggies. Touched
Oh,
my heart. That was my
so
old business
beautiful.
when I was designing jewelry, but it has become a thought form that has grown in strength to help
Yeah.
other people like you who are going through the same thing.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I was so glad that I could do that,
Yes, and I have a girlfriend that is currently um, journeying with pancreatic cancer, and so
which is so
she,
unusual.
it is. She and our other girlfriends are part of a prayer group, and we have the prayer piggy, and we've given one to her mom. And so, mom, sisters, friends. So it's all a beautiful circle of love. And that's the thing. I wrote a blog, An Ultimate Guide to Surviving Pancreatic Cancer, to give people hope, so that you're not alone. There's always hope. And some of the things that I did along the way, and the focus on my word of the year for last year was flourish. And so I would ask myself several times a day, how can I flourish in this moment? I'm not feeling good. What can I do? Sometimes it would be to nap. Sometimes it would be to take a anti-nausea pill. Sometimes it would be to have a cracker. Sometimes it would be to go outside and just shift the energy a little bit. So that really helped me. So I wanted to share that with people so that they too, if they or someone they know or love is battling a health challenge, that this could potentially help them um, focus on more hope.
Hope is hope is critical. That's
Yeah.
partly why I'm doing this series of podcasts. I
Yeah.
want to give people hope that if you have a chronic illness, do not give up. There are lots of things that you can do that will support yourself and support your body so that you can come out the other end into wellness.
Yes.
Whether
Yes.
it's pancreatic cancer, which we've all come to believe is not something you recover from, but here you are as proof that you can, or whether
Yeah.
you have autoimmune disease like I have, but I now have no pain. I want everyone to know,
Yay.
yay, I want
Yay.
everyone to know that hope springs eternal. Don't give up
Absolutely.
hope and
Right.
be proactive. Take
Mhm.
control of your body and
Mhm.
learn to have a conversation with your body. Every morning when I get up, I ask my body, how do you feel today? And if there's anything that's not feeling good, I adjust immediately now. And there are days that are better than others, but I
Mhm.
don't have flares and I don't have pain. And so for me, that's
Yay.
enormous.
Oh, it
And
is.
so you never lost your faith. You
Mhm.
had your family who was very supportive. You had your husband who was supportive from a distance. Poor thing.
Yes.
He had all of
Yeah.
your love and support as well.
Yes.
And then did you do anything to change the way you were eating or other things that were supporting your body to help you get through this?
So that's one of the things. You have to be an advocate for your own health. I would ask, first of all, why did I get cancer? And they did the test. It's not genetic, so it's an environmental factor. They don't know why. It could be from the additives in the food. It could be, it could be a number of any of that stuff, which I'm not focused on what was, but I am focused on what is. And so I would ask the doctor, what should I eat? And their answers were like, eat whatever you want, eat something soft. And I'm like, no, that just doesn't seem right to me. And I would look at a lot of your posts, Cheryl, and this is what you should eat. You should eat as if you have cancer. You should eat all of these wonderful organic fruits and vegetables. And I'm like, that really makes sense to me that,
It resonated with me too.
yeah, putting in the good stuff, um, you know, what's in the air, a lot of times we don't have control of, or the soil, but we can control like what we put in. I could control my thoughts, what I would think, the way I would self-care and nurture myself. Um, so the changes that we've made is that I have really focused on having more organic fruits and vegetables. That's my primary go-to. And it's just such a pleasure to be able to get these beautiful gifts of nature and to ingest them and feel like, oh, I like to make really pretty plates. And like lately I've been making mandalas of food, like taking a peach and slicing it in segments and then putting the berries all around and making a fruit mandala. So it's almost like an offering. It's almost like art. And so and gratitude is huge. So I'm grateful for my healing. I'm grateful for the love and support that I had and that I have. Um, I'm grateful for the gift of my life. And so gratitude,
Obviously, you weren't done yet. There's
right,
more work for you to do on this
right,
earth.
right. And, um, a lot of times I think it was harder for my loved ones to watch me go through it than it was for me, because I was so laser focused. I knew I would be well. The angels told me cancer will be with me for a season, but her lessons will last my lifetime. So I wasn't scared. Um, I, I didn't know how my life would look on the other end of it. I couldn't see that far ahead, but I could focus on the now. I could focus on how can I feel better now? What can I do? And that was huge.
So, what has changed since you first found out that you had the cancer to today, other than the fact that you're now cancer free? How has your life been impacted by this?
Um, I ended up losing 50 pounds. And
That's a good
so
thing.
that was a good thing. I had a goal in my mind that I would like to lose 40 pounds before I had cancer. That that would be my ideal. And so be careful what you ask for, right? So I joke that I'm like the greatest manifester because before the COVID shelter in place, my girlfriend and I would tease about, oh, we love it when we don't have to leave the house. We don't have anything on the calendar, white space. And then we've got 3 months of white space. So I just tease about that.
Yeah.
Um, so the gratitude is huge. Um, the focus on um, the nutrition. Uh, I, Water is my favorite drink. And I also liked coffee. And when I was sick, coffee, I couldn't tolerate it, but now I am enjoying it again. And I couldn't enjoy water, which was so sad because that was my favorite. So what I could have that would taste good to me would be tea. So I would have hot tea and then I would just sip that during the day. And so that was very soothing for me. And
There's all
so,
kinds of health benefits from organic tea. There's a lot of
yes,
chemicals on tea, and you
yeah.
don't want to drink tea in those cute little triangle plastic bags
Oh,
that
right.
throw toxins right into your tea because it's in hot water. But if you're
Yeah,
drinking your tea from paper bags and you're drinking organic tea, so all of those icky chemicals are not on your tea leaves, then it is very medicinal. Most of the
yeah,
teas have benefits for the body, which is pretty
yeah.
amazing because it's such a delightful beverage.
It is. It is. And a lot of times we like to have tea in the winter at night before bed. It's just a really nice part of the evening ritual to set the stage for a good night's sleep. And that's another thing that I love to sleep. And so napping to me is always a pleasure. Um, and I was like a baby. I would take a nap in the morning. I would take a nap in the afternoon. Sometimes I would sleep all day if I didn't feel good after treatment. Um,
And
and
it's
then
lovely that you allowed yourself to do that.
yeah, instead of fighting it. Um, so that is one thing that with so much publicity about self-care and to nurture yourself, that I was really able to do that and not thinking, oh, I'm lazy, I'm never going to be able to do that, blah, blah, blah. on the
Yeah, I've
days that,
always sort of seen it as a guilty pleasure, but it
yeah,
doesn't have to be guilty at all.
right, right. That's exactly true. And so uh, uh, my husband and I, we both enjoy naps. So a lot of times on Sunday when he's home, we'll have an afternoon nap, and it's just such a gift. Uh, and I was blessed to be able to sleep in the night. Some people aren't so lucky, but for me, it's like, oh, good, I could go to bed. Tomorrow is going to be a better day. Um, so
So you
that
set
that
that right
helps
up
me.
before you even went to sleep, that you were going to
Yeah,
wake up and it was
yeah,
going to even be better.
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
sure that one of the reasons that you recovered from this was your amazing attitude, your amazing faith, and your support system.
yeah.
All are
I
critical.
agree. I
And
agree.
I do believe that if you don't want to get cancer, or you don't want to get autoimmune disease, or you don't want to get heart disease, which are the big chronic illnesses, for God's sakes, start to put healthy habits into place now so
Yeah,
that you never go there. With autoimmune disease, you go over the toxic wall. And I will always have autoimmune disease. I wish I had done this before I got sick, but I'm
yeah.
very lucky to be in a pain-free place now. But don't wait until you get sick and tired of
hmm
being sick and tired. Don't
Right,
wait until you have cancer. Start living clean and healthy today.
right,
It's
right.
all so doable. And do you feel deprived in any way with the changes that you've made?
Oh gosh, no. I feel like I'm the luckiest woman in the world. I have so much love and support and gratitude and appreciation. I never once thought, F you cancer, or I'm going to fight cancer. The angels were very clear about it, that it was a journey, and that I would walk through this valley of the shadow of death, and that I would thrive. And I feel like I'm thriving now, and I'm so grateful for that. And like the support, my sister was an amazing support always, especially during that time. And she was my press secretary and would
She was,
communicate with
she was
everyone. So she was
fantastic.
great. Yes, she's awesome. So I just am so grateful.
I ask
Yes.
about whether or not you feel deprived because I have now done somewhere in the neighborhood of 170 podcasts as a guest. And the number one thing that I get asked is, aren't you deprived? Heck no. I was deprived before I cleaned up and started eating real beautiful nutrients of
Yeah.
all the different colors. And
Yeah.
eating all the colors of the rainbow is a feast, not
Yeah.
only for the body, but for the eyes, for the
Yeah.
mind. It's a feast. And so, for God's sake, you're not giving anything up to eat clean. You're
No.
gaining
Yeah.
lovely nutrients that you could almost feel going through your body saying, yippee, I feel good. So
Yeah.
don't
Yeah.
think in terms of being deprived, because John laughs when people ask us
Right.
that.
Right. Right. Exactly. And Cheryl, as you say in your books, that you have found a way to have pizza in your life, or some of those things that you thought, oh, I could never have that. Um,
It's not the same pizza, but it's
right.
actually just as, if not more delicious.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and there's so many wonderful choices available now
Yes.
for gluten-free, for vegan cheeses and things like that that
And if
are
you
out there at the
haven't
bottom.
been cooking, you do not know how great food really tastes.
Mm-hmm,
It's when you
mm-hmm.
start, I can't be deprived. I'm a foodie. So I have learned to cook healthy, all the
Yeah,
things I used to eat that were cruddy.
yeah,
And if we have company over for dinner, nobody says, oh no, I don't want to eat that because, oh geez, it's healthy. They're like,
yeah,
wow, this is delicious and it's so good for me. I can't
yes,
believe it.
yes,
So look into starting to eat real food and making it yourself, because that's how you spoil
yeah,
yourself. That is not
exactly.
being deprived.
Right, exactly, exactly. And you could take a old recipe that you love and find more healthy alternatives. I did that with my Asian chicken salad. And so um, instead of having the top ramen noodles with the little salt pack in it, I've got rid of all that and just toast the almonds for the crunch. And so it's so yummy. And nobody misses the other
Yeah, it's
crunchies.
amazing. I
Yeah.
actually have a whole conversion list in one of the chapters in my second book. Don't use this, use this.
Yeah.
Because we have found substitute products. I have 18 sensitivities, so eating around those has been the trickiest part of this whole thing. And
Hmm.
soy is
Hmm.
one of them, so no more soy sauce. But
Right.
I
Right.
have found a fabulous soy-free teriyaki sauce. And
Oh,
I have found coconut aminos take the place of soy sauce.
yeah.
There are
Yeah.
things that you can exchange out. There's even almond yogurt and almond sour creams now because dairy's a sensitivity. If
Right.
you want to learn how to cook and you are sensitive to anything, check out my list because you can make really yummy food. And some of it
Yeah.
sounds weird. I will make a cream sauce out of half a cauliflower and cashew nuts.
Mm-hmm.
People go, huh? You can't really tell that it's not dairy. I made mushroom soup that way. I have made all stroganoff I make that way. You just upgrade all your ingredients and then you add all
Yeah.
the things that you would be adding to the sauce anyway. Like I saute mushrooms, but I saute them in ghee, not in butter. There's ways around everything so that the
Yeah.
dish is still delicious, but healthy for you. You just have to decide you want to learn how to do it.
Yeah, and I love that, Cheryl, how you've said that you're not depriving yourself, you're upgrading. So
I am.
that
I
just
know.
feels
Yep.
so wonderful. Yes, I'm upgrading. I like that. And that's something that I still have a long way to go nutrition wise, but I am more aware of what it is I'm eating and listening more to my body. And I just love it to be able to have such a colorful plate. That just feels really like I'm, you know, doing the right thing. So
Right. And as I
thank
say,
you for
it's
that.
a feast for the eyes, the mind, and the body. So
Yes,
what's not to do?
absolutely. Yeah.
Okay,
So.
let's let everybody know how they can find you.
Yes, so you can come to my website. It's angel-angles.com. And I have a gratitude group on Facebook called Angel Angles, Angel Circle of Gratitude. And I have a Facebook page, Angel Angles, on Facebook that I post a couple times a day. Or you could email me, Janette, Janette, at angel-angles.com.
And you have several books. Tell us about your
I
books.
do. I have a series of books called On a Path of Joy that are daily devotionals, and each book is for 1 month. And the last book was all focused on affirmations and using the beautiful photographs from my friend Karen Troy. And there's lots of nature photographs of Yosemite, which is a national park in California, and pictures of Sedona. So there's the beautiful, and that book is loosely based on the third chakra, which is creativity and our passions. And so that focus is the color of that book is orange, which is the color of creativity. And so that information is on Amazon or on my website. And I have a deck of angel cards that I created that
That are
are
quite beautiful.
inspirational cards. Oh, thank you. Thank you. So, yeah, I'm working on my second deck of those and some other goodies. So, life is really good.
So the bottom line that I want everybody to understand from this is don't lose your faith. Continue to form your supportive community. And if you don't
Yes.
have one, start to build one. Be proactive
Yes.
and build it yourself. And
Yes.
never lose your hope, no matter what your body is going through. Own your own health and be proactive to bring yourself back to health. And don't listen to anyone tell you you can't get well because
Right.
that is not true.
That is absolutely true.
You are a living example of that. So thank you so much for
Mm.
sharing your story with all my listeners today.
Thank you, Cheryl, and for all of your beautiful work. I love your use this, not that in the book. It's so helpful.
Thank you. So thank you, everybody. I'll see you back with another Tell Me Your Story in 2 weeks. Next up is another just plain teaching you all the things that I've learned so that you can discover all the ways that you can create a healthy life. Thank you.